Okay, I've got the whiteboard out, and it's unfortunately bad lighting in here, so you can't really see it. So I've had to go over everything quite hard with the colours so you can see what I'm banging on about. You don't have to see me, doesn't matter, right? I'm going to explain in this video samsara, karmic cycles, right? And I'm going to explain this is us, right? This is us. And I'm going to show our contribution to this, okay? Warning, some of this information is very detrimental. And I'm going to show, I'm going to share some bad information, but this is what goes on, okay? This cycle here is a satanic bloodline families, right? According to people like Jay Parker, who were brought up in these families, and Kathy O'Brien, Jay Parker says that his parents told him that this is what they believe, that this religion is the old religion. It is 9,000 BC. That's how old these practices are. He also said that over thousands of years, they understand the nature of reality, okay? They understand what quantum physics is getting on now, that this reality is holographic, okay? They know that. They understand how consciousness shapes reality. They understand that. They understand all of these things. And for 9,000 years, they have been mastering the art of completely fracturing the human mind and what practices do what. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the practices, but I want to show you how this is important, okay? He believes that there's multiple reasons why they torture babies, right, from the second they are born. One is because they are trying to fracture the mind so it is fully controlled, so that it grows up as an adult without, when it doesn't, everything's inverted. Good seems bad, bad is good. They just follow orders. They think what they're doing is right. They're controllable. They know that certain triggers can get different results. They are there to fracture the mind. That's one aspect. The other aspect is the pure nature of a baby. Please forgive me for sharing this. When it is tortured and tormented and abused for the first 7 years, right? Which we all know, the first 7 years, there's no filtration for a baby. So the first 7 years is how you shape a being's personality. So in those 7 years, right, to torment and torture a pure innocent being, right, this is what you're doing. You are creating ripples, detrimental, damaging ripples into the morphic field, okay, into the field. You could have someone in your community, a family, and they would be the least you would know was doing it. They would be, you wouldn't know, right? I'm not going to go down that road. He believes 10 to 15% of the population are in on the old religion. His parents were teachers. His mum and dad were teachers, right? So if you have, let's say it's only a fraction of the percent, less than 10%. They don't want to scare anyone, right? They don't want anyone thinking their neighbours, can't trust anyone. But while this is damaging the morphic field, it's damaging the collective consciousness. And this is why it's so important that we adopt meditation. Because every time we adopt love and kindness, right, and compassion, we are contributing to the morphic field. And the more people do this, the more we counteract this practice. But this is why they have to make this practice so detrimental, so damaging. Okay, now let me go into samsara and where we fit in observing this, okay, and hopefully give you a visual understanding of what's going on. Just say you find out this information, right? And you find out that the people that are running the world, okay, are these guys, okay? They are adults in these bloodlines, okay? They are satanic practitioners. And you find out that they give birth, they impregnate their own kind, their kid, they do terrible things, and they steal children. However they get children, another topic altogether. Newborn babies, even their own kids, they torture them, okay? So as an observer, we see this guy, and we say, and I'm referring to like people like my mum. If my mum was ever heard of what paedophiles do, my mum was like, I hope they burn in hell. I hope they this, that and the other, right? So we observe them and we think that they are the lowest of the lowest of the low, right? And many people out there, if you haven't got compassionate heart, you haven't looked deeply, condemn these people to death. And when they die, right, so this is the cycle, when they die, you think they should go to hell, right? And I believe that they do. What does hell look like? In many traditions, including Buddhism, Hinduism, they believe there is realms, lower realms of hell. So for what you've done, you might be going to these lower realms, but as you exhaust karma, or maybe you come straight in, don't matter, you come up, you start, hell is experiencing what you've done, okay? So you come back as a baby in these families. Now this person, us, we observe these, right? And we say, poor baby, poor innocent children. We have to protect these from these, okay? We have to protect them. Do I agree with that? Yes. I absolutely agree with that, because we need to stop this practice, because this is holding humanity back. It's an ancient practice that we need to stop. So people are right by doing that. But my point is, people like Kathy O'Brien, people like Jay Parker, who I believe are strong souls, there's obviously karma while they're there, but they're obviously strong souls. And he said, Jay Parker said, at the age of 7, they knew they couldn't fracture his mind. There's a name for it, I can't remember what the name is. His consciousness couldn't be controlled, so they ostracized him. They never included him in anything. And he shared some other techniques they do to try and keep you constantly tormented, even in adult life, when different things like full moons happen and things like that. So some people make it, but some people don't. And they are so fractured, and they see the world so differently, that they think they're doing the right thing by becoming this. They're not like us. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to share 2 branches. Mark Passio says he was a priest in a satanic church, low-level stuff, and this is what he believes. He believes some kids, he knows some kids are born into it. Mark Passio believes that the role of these churches, which are just for lower level, they are to filter out people who are not born into it, but are psychopaths, okay? Complete psychopaths. So some people are just psychopaths and they end up here. But this guy, this baby that doesn't make it out, right, grows up to be this guy and think he's doing the right thing. Then we observe him. You deserve to go to hell for what you're doing. He dies. He does. He comes back as a baby. We say, please protect this innocent child. I can't believe you're doing that. The baby becomes him. We say, you are bad, you're going to hell. This is samsara. This is samsara. This is so hard for these beings to get out of, because as they create more karma, there's no way out once they're a child. You don't even have a choice in it. I'm telling you, if I told you some of the practices they do, they would be damaging. If you haven't got a practice, they could create PTSD in you. That's why I'm not going to share them. They're so cruel. So cruel, you wouldn't believe it. They damage your trust. They damage your faith in God. They just fracture, make the mind implode, okay? So they don't have a choice. They just born, they haven't got a clue. They end up being here. But we play a role in this. We play a role because we don't look deep enough. And that's where meditation and compassion comes in. Okay? Because a true master, let's say this is a master. A true master with a compassionate heart looks at him, right, or her, and sees the baby. Sees the suffering, sees what that they've been through, looks at someone like these people that we know that have done terrible things like your Hillary Clintons and all the things of it. For them to be able to do what they do, right, they've been here. You get me? So until we can stop saying bad guy, good guy, and start holding compassion, then we open our hearts. We open our heart, right? Then we influence the field. We influence more people. We become compassionate. This is why we meditate as well. We meditate, we put love into the field, because even though they're doing incredible traumas to these poor kids, and on a collective scale by scaring everyone with COVID nonsense, 9/11 and all that bullshit, the more people open their heart and meditate, the more we move out of the mind, fear, right? The more we move into the heart and rise up to this heart-mind coherence, and it cancels this out. It uplifts human consciousness, so there's no room for this resonance, okay? This is vibrating low, trying to pull everyone down. We vibrate high, pull everyone up. I hope this makes sense. I want to keep it short. Meditate, look deeper, open your heart to compassion, and step out of samsara, and let's try and stop this terrible, barbaric, ancient practice.